All right. Welcome to the Wrench Factor, where we dive into all things manufacturing, maintenance, and operations. From emerging industry trends to tackling the biggest challenges facing frontline professionals, our guest and I will discuss insights from the field, best practices, and strategies to support best-in-class operations. Today, we're discussing the advantages of becoming more data-driven, and I'm really excited to welcome Graham Immerman and Rutherford Wilson from MachineMetrics to the show. Nice to have you here, guys.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course, yeah. I've had the pleasure of knowing you guys for quite a few years now. We've had the opportunity to work together with several of our clients, and you guys have quite an exciting solution that I'm excited to dive into a little bit today. So for the folks out there who aren't familiar with MachineMetrics, give us a quick overview of how it works, what it's all about, and we'll go from there.
Sure. I can take that one, Nick. Yeah, it is great to be here. Thanks to the MaintainX team for inviting us to the Wrench Factor. I'm Graham Immerman, Chief Commercial Officer here at MachineMetrics. So I oversee our sales, marketing, and business development. I was an early employee of this company, maybe back 8 years ago. I'm almost at my 8-year anniversary. Back when we were just a single office, we had about 2 customers. And today, MachineMetrics, we're on every continent. Outside of Antarctica. I don't think there's any manufacturing there, but if there is, please, somebody in the audience, let us know so I can stop making that dumb joke. All right. But seriously, really where MachineMetrics has taken off is that we've developed a production intelligence platform for discrete manufacturers. So we have an end-to-end solution that captures real-time data from the factory floor. And then we transform that data into actionable insights for our customers so they can execute manufacturing faster and more efficiently using real-time data from their factories. We've really developed this solution, starting with just, essentially being able to monitor machines. But we've learned over time that our customers, they want to do a lot more than that. What they want to do is they want to monitor production in real time. And in order to do that, you need to be able to track downtime, track OEE. You need to be able to schedule your work, and you need to be able to essentially track your work order management in real time. They call that the Core 4. MachineMetrics does that in a data-driven way. Call that a next-gen MES if you want. Call it what you will. Our customers call it more value. So we've really enjoyed working with customers and partners like MaintainX.
Fantastic. And can you share sort of a specific example of how MachineMetrics is using machine data today to achieve significant improvements in some of your key business objectives? So what kind of data are you helping your clients analyze, and how is that leading to action?
Yeah, it's a great question, Nick. I think at the core of it is how do you actually drive value, right? A lot of these new technology projects are IT solutions or system architectures. And I know MachineMetrics like MaintainX really focused on end use value, right? And so many of our customers, frankly, lack visibility into what's even happening every day. Not only do they know that if their machines are running or not, but they don't know if they're going to deliver on time, right? Yeah. And so in order to really know that, you need to know a number of different things. You need to know, are my machines running? If not, why? When they are running, are they running at the right speed, right? And then are we fulfilling the order that has come in from the customer so we can get it to them on time? And in order to do that, MachineMetrics really pulls data from 3 different places. We pull it from the machines themselves. And the machines, they sort of tell a story of, hey, are we running or not? If we're not running, why? Obviously for maintenance, that's going to be a really interesting thing that we're going to talk about a bit more in detail. And then we then pull data from the ERP system, which is where the work orders themselves are actually generated and live. And by combining these 2 data streams, right, the data from the machines, the data from the ERP, we add the necessary context to what's happening on the factory floor to actually track the status of your work at any given moment on time. And the use cases around that become incredible when you combine that with the third data asset that exists on the factory floor, which is people. And everyday people are sort of left without decisions. What do we do? And most decisions are made with gut feel, right? Without having data or even the right insight to know what they should actually do to make a change. And so those examples are, whereas a lot of other solutions just tell you, hey, my machine is down or not. MachineMetrics, we use, for example, automated downtime classification to tell the customer exactly why their machines are down, and then we provide alerts and notifications and insights to the right people at the right time in the format of telling those people what they actually need to do to reduce the downtime, right? And that's sort of how you transform an insight into an action.
Love it. So if you're helping these operations become more data driven, but like, what's the average manufacturing doing today without a solution like yours? Like, what are some of the challenges those folks are facing? And speak to what those folks look like before they're working with a solution like yours.
Yeah, and listen, all due respect to manufacturing, because it's an incredible industry, and in some ways is the most advanced in terms of technology, yet fascinatingly maybe behind when it comes to data and analytics. And most manufacturers essentially operate, like I said, with sort of that gut feel. And what we've found is that when we've captured data from thousands of machines and manufacturers all over the world, and in general, they're utilizing their equipment less than 25% of the time. Yet here we are buying more machines, buying more things, right, to try to solve that problem. When in reality, just being able to understand, the reasons why we're not hitting our targets might help us more efficiently improve our operations. So I think a lot of people use, pieces of paper, right, to track production. They use Excel spreadsheets, right? They use old school manual data entry programs. And as you know, it's crazy.
Wildly inefficient. I mean, there's a lot of challenge, and to be fair to the manufacturers, there's a lot of challenges to getting buy-in for some of these new technologies, and trying to figure out which way do we go to become more data driven. Maybe they know they should, but that path isn't always obvious to them. So Rutherford, how are you sort of thinking about successfully navigating these challenges within MachineMetrics and the platform you are building?
Yeah, I mean, Graham sort of led into some of those key pieces, but we really focus on where are the key areas where adoption needs to be done. Obviously, when you have a leadership in a shop floor that has made a decision to move down this digital transformation, we really try to help them understand, where are the areas where information and insights can be provided. Because there's managers who need to have visibility to how the shop is running at an aggregate level, but you also have operators that need information. Because if you're waiting until the next day to figure out why you had a production problem, we really want to drive that adoption by giving operators information at the moment the problem is happening, and turning it into an action so they know what to do, whether that's automating the flow of creating a maintenance work order right then and there. So there's a consistent flow of, we found the machine is alarmed off, the machine is stopped, let's trigger a work order through a maintenance program like MaintainX to get the maintenance crew out there immediately. Don't wait to figure out that there was a problem that you had yesterday when you can solve that problem in a moment. And when you combine these set of pieces of information that turn all these data from these three different places into actions, people start to like that. And they actually start using that system, because now it becomes these data-driven actions is no longer just some fictional thing that you're going to do. We're actually making it actionable to create these, to solve production problems. So just one example of that, and this is my firm belief, is creating a user experience that makes it easy for people to see this information and create actions is another way of driving adoption for this. So an example is in our production scheduling system. It's really super easy today. As Graham mentioned, people are writing things down. They're using whiteboards to track production, and when things need to change, a hot job comes in, you need to change all of that. Or a machine goes down for maintenance. Well, you need to change your schedule. We have a nice, easy to use drag and drop interface that is live throughout our Core 4 integrated set of features, so you can get that information. And that's, those are some of the ways that we're thinking about driving adoption, making it easy, accessible, and actionable. Those are the key elements.
I think you're hitting on a great point there, which I think is somewhat still underrated today, which is that ease of use. You can create this mousetrap that has all the bells and whistles, but if your frontline folks don't know how to action on it, managers don't know how to action on it because they have to watch 400 hours of training courses, how valuable is that solution really? So I love to hear that that's like, front and center in the way that you're thinking about developing the product. That's something that's really important on our end as well, is making sure that, for all the value and exciting advancements and innovation we build out, what we're working on, it's got to be easy for that end user. And so, as we're thinking ahead, what sort of emerging trends do you see in the use of like, leveraging maintenance data and other machine data to drive more business value in manufacturing, and how is MachineMetrics positioned to leverage these trends?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the manufacturing space as well as in everything else, AI is a constant drumbeat that everyone is sort of talking about and figuring out how to apply it. And I think when in the manufacturing space, there's been a long conversation about predictive maintenance. Being able to understand and predict when a machine is going to go down. And I think there's definitely organizations that have been successful doing that. But in the market that we tend to see, and where there's a large number of shop floors and maybe the mid market of manufacturing, that you may have a higher mix of parts that you produce and lower volumes that you're producing, which makes collecting all that information to have a predictable sense of when your machines is going to malfunction is very complicated. So we're approaching the trend is definitely AI. But we're approaching it in a way of how do we use this information to streamline the information that's happening on the shop floor, so we can basically separate signal from noise. So just for example, using generative AI to help inform, these are the maintenance activities that occurred on first shift that then need to be communicated to second shift. Summarizing all that information is one of the ways that we're thinking about how we can tackle, like, these are the things that you need to pay attention to. Here are the maintenance issues, here are the production issues. This is what you need to know as you start your second shift and third shift and so forth and so on. We developed an AI technology that is a little bit more evolved that really dials in using AI for understanding when a machine is going to fail. And so we call it anomaly detection. Super important because we're profiling every tool that's firing on every machine, on every millisecond level, and we can start to detect when there's a large differential of a load profile. Now, we originally developed this to understand when a tool breaks or a tool chipped, but we're finding all sorts of production issues associated when there's a difference. And when we see these kinds of irregularities in the production, that usually means you're creating scrap, at that point. And so we trigger you right away. And so we're using AI, which is still a trend, but to deliver, to make it, to communicate to you that there's production issues that you need to deal with and turn those into actions. So that's the way we're looking at some of these new trends that are coming onto the market and try to create practical ways that we can leverage this information to make it available to you now, as opposed to, the mythical predictive maintenance. The machine's going to fail in the next 2 days, so do something about it.
I love the use of the super practical use cases for AI, where it may not be running the operation from start to finish every day as the dream. Some folks are maybe hoping for, or maybe fearfully looking forward to, or against. But these really useful things that can just contextualize the information around what's been done already today. What should we look for? Pulling all that information together is really valuable. So love to hear that. We're working on similar things, and I love how closely these tools we're working on are synergizing today.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to other manufacturing leaders who are looking to leverage their maintenance data and machine data to improve operational efficiency and achieve their business goals?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to jump in on that one, Nick. And I think we love the pragmatic, right? I mean, for how long, right, have people theorized of strapping VR headsets on 70-year-old operators and saying, hey, AR is the future, right? And it's like, that's just never going to happen, right? I think pragmatic use cases that create value are the key to adoption and making sure that companies start and continue to invest in new technology, right? The worst thing that you can do is sort of invest in something theoretical and then not get ROI and then stop believing that tech is going to help your business. And I think that's happened a lot in manufacturing. It's created a bit of this gap between like is this really the next thing, right? And is it going to really help us, right? So one way that we look at, advice I think that we can provide is to look at everyday problems, right? And Rutherford and I are both big believers in jobs to be done. It's like literally up on my wall right over there. So, and every day you have jobs that need to be done, and you sort of look at why they're not done well and how you can improve those jobs and how they situate themselves in everyday life, right? And so a good example would be for maintenance, right? Many companies theorize on the, as Rutherford said, the mythical, advent of predictive maintenance, right?
Yes.
And it was all the buzz, right? Until most companies realized that they didn't understand what that truly meant. What most companies will find benefit from is doing maintenance at the right time, right? And there are sure anomalous events, right, that happen. And MachineMetrics were really on the cutting edge of identifying some of those events because they truly can either be catastrophic or costly, right, and create significant downtime. But 80+% of maintenance could likely be avoided through basic usage or alarm or even condition-based maintenance. And this is how tools like MachineMetrics and MaintainX can really work well together, right? MachineMetrics, we're obviously connected to the machines, right? We've got histories of alarms and downtimes, and conditions and usage of these various machines. MachineMetrics, we have not just diagnostic timelines, but real-time capture of all those data items. Using our workflow engine, many of our customers are simply using a machine alarm that indicates, hey, it's time to clean out the collet chuck, or a vibration indicating that maybe it's time to fix this item, or simply it's been 100 hours, it's time to top off the coolant. Developing literally drag and drop workflows that are so easy that even myself can do it, and automating work orders or work requests within MaintainX. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to be a data scientist. You don't need to be a custom developer to start driving automated dynamic maintenance programs with real-time data from your machines. Our out-of-the-box integration makes that possible. Obviously, that's a product plug a little bit, but it really is in reality that the recommendation we have is to pick off low-hanging fruit of value, right, and continue to capture data, because over time, right, more use cases will emerge, but making sure that you get quick wins is essential to getting buy-in in new technology.
Absolutely. And, when you're starting to pay attention and record this live information, you'll see your shop floor in a different way. And so problems will emerge that as you start to fix some of the big issues that you have, you'll find other refinements that you can do based on the data. So the advice is really, start this process, get those quick wins in, and focus on simple use cases, jobs to be done that you can optimize, and then keep paying attention to the data so you can find the other opportunities that the data could provide for you. And I think that's going to be hugely beneficial for a lot of customers once they get into that cadence, because it's about, it's technology is one component of it, but it's about your ability to process, how your organization is using this data to continuously improve. That's a huge component of it as well.
Yeah, I'd love to piggyback on that one more time. I can't help it. This is a classic situation, right? I was talking to a customer just yesterday, and they were like, operators, oftentimes they get these alarms in the machine, and you're heading up to the end of the shift, and the operator's like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with this whole situation. Right. Or they're like, to enter a maintenance request is going to take me 20 minutes, right? And I don't want to do that, right? So there's sort of, just key off that alarm and we'll make it somebody else's problem later, right? And how many times in our diagnostic timeline do our customers just see alarm code keyed off,
right?
Downtime, right? Happens all the time. Now, one way to look at that is, use the alarm codes to automatically trigger, notifications to your maintenance team, right? Another way to look at that is, why can't we make it easier for operators to get maintenance help when they need it, so they're actually not afraid to request maintenance, right? And in our interface, we've just developed a really easy mechanism for them, just with a single click, create that work order in their MaintainX environment, so they can say, okay, hey, I'm not afraid to call maintenance, right? Because with a click of a button, my maintenance guy is going to. And that's that's when you really look at the job that needs to be done. It's about how do you make it easier for people just to take the actions that they need to that make benefit. And I think those are sort of like the pragmatic ways that I think technology can just help everybody do their jobs better and encourage people to actually interact with these new tech without being sort of afraid or look at them as big brother or even replacements. So.
Love it. I totally agree. And, anything we can do to help make it easier for folks to start capturing data, start sort of getting that 80-20, don't try to boil the ocean, really try to get everything, start measuring what you don't measure already. That'll start to help you incrementally get better. And I think hopefully get us all closer towards that end state. So once again, I want to thank you both for being on the show today. And thank you to everyone who's been watching. To learn more about how MaintainX and MachineMetrics work together, we had a link below. Click that to learn more. If you have any questions for us, feel free to drop them in the comments. Even if after the show's over, we're happy to check back and jump in. Again, thank you guys so much for jumping on today, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.